In our short, with a healthy self-worth compass and integrity, you'll know how to harness the winds and waves of change. We discussed how the 5D collective does this, not the 3D, 4D, because they think that being anchored in ventral energy means you're only happy, which, by the way, you are. You're consistently fulfilled. That's called mindfully living and loving for real and not pretend. But it's a securely attached, non-traumatized body because I have an embodied brain that has an integrated brain. That's because my child parts are all asleep and I don't have unfinished business. So my psychological development doesn't happen because somebody walks into my life. No, it happens because Maria is her self-agent. And she is motivated like anybody else by those, well, some will say the 3 subcortical areas. Thank you, Dr. Daniel Siegel. So yes, fear, certainty, thank you. That's not number 1 for me. Self-agency is anger, and that's making sure that I don't go correct anybody else because you're not me and I'm not you, and I'm a 3-year-old who's differentiated. So I got told, hey, the world don't revolve around you. And that's why 3 motivated bonding, I'm a straight shooter. I like you, I love you, that's it. I don't know flirting in the way that those who are petty, insecure people do. So as a teenager, I had a good time. And when I didn't, no, I did. I learned who the insecure, emotionally not at all interesting men are. And then I also learned that about women. And I didn't grow up to think of envy, jealousy, spite, or revenge as Lucifer. No, by the time I'm 19, I said, hey, God. So cowards. I see cowards, not Lucifer. And I'm now 45, and I have confirmation with the data that those who one day someone will walk into your life and you will know why it's so awesome that it didn't work out with emotionally unavailable, immature, and insecure people who lack the desire to become lovers for real. Immature, it sounds like I'm saying mature a lot of times, but then I go on to expand, and anybody who's getting the gist of it is going to understand securely attached, non-traumatized people, we're not boring. We are true lovers, because fierce lovers are what they become, adaptive child part people after terrestrial. That means they learn to love themselves first, and they don't bring us their business. Yes, in fact, that's why he says it's not unfinished business. Let's translate it to psychological development. But that's for, again, the ones who are self-aware to become their self-agents, which means they want to integrate their brain. So core, narrative, relation, and solo self become theirs, not stories of fancy ladies or men in suit who tell them not to go to therapy, and that it's not inherently healthy or enlightening to be non-reactive, that it's dangerous to have no emotions. And that's when you meet assholes on a screen and think, wow, there's a teenager that I knew a long time ago, and I don't actually think anything of it because I have a good compass. So when people think that we get hurt, we don't get hurt because I don't bond if you and I are not sharing heart to hearts. I will cry. I will not be like, oh my God, they did something wrong. There's some Lucifer. I need to look to that. Oh my God, look, how happy am I? No, I don't do that. It's petty. Yesterday we talked about it. So when those people, women and men, and those who don't know how to move forward with the winds of change, the winds of anyone, Scorpio, I think that's the name of the band. Yes, so the winds of change for me as a teenager and the winds of the waves, I learned how to be a good sailor because that's called Maria's integrated brain using her prefrontal cortex. So when I meet people who don't know how to do it, not only are they ignorant, they have petty, insecure behavior, and society telling me, what, you want to be friends with her and him? But they cheated, they betrayed. They did what? I'm not in a war right now. Like, that word sounds pretty heavy. Why are you so I don't do much with cowards. I cry, I get over it, and I move forward. I got rejected at 4. Boys wanted to take me for a ride. I said, no, I want to read. Sit down. Let me read to you. And they took my twin for a ride. So I went home crying, and my mother said, it's okay. We're all different, and you're serious. And I'm still serious. I'm not serious. I'm thorough. I like intelligent people. Intelligence has a good sense of humor because they know when we're around ignorance, it's not really fascinating to be around petty, jealousy and petty. Oh, you can gossip. I mean, there's different soul age groups. I have knowledge of the suffering that will continue to be in the bodies of people who don't care that their muscles, bones, and tissues store trauma charges to the point of where they're spreading rumors about yoga bringing demons out of you, and people think they're offering human beings good information, empowering information. And what was it? Hold on. Yes, so lovers meet when mental, emotional, physical self-agency, love, and healthy Habits are pursued daily and they are desired. So you don't want to numb yourself with alcohol, drugs, drinking, fucking, drug, all of that bullshit, which teenagers did think was cool. And I was like, that ain't cool. I don't need agents to be able and channel, by the way, and download. None of it, actually. The 5D body type is a healthy one. And what I know about our 4D brothers and sisters, well, let's just put it this way. I'm not fond of suffering, but I got made fun of by Buddha when I got to meet my counsel, and that in a bad way. He's just like, haha, you keep on teasing. You know, some people are going to go for what is that number one truth, that this life, this very existence, it's all suffering. And there's a Zen master who says, you cannot be in an enlightenment frequency. It's not possible because he has laundry. And I think, wow, he didn't want to do integration of brain. He didn't want to expand his window of welcome to affect. Janina Fisher, Pat Ogden, they're not wanting you. Patrick Tahan, they don't want to come to you. They want Boca Raton. Oh, look, Terrio, I'm so sorry. They'd rather be adaptive child part people and treat each other like shit. In fact, they talk about, you know, if you treat me like a slave, then you're going to be married to slave. But if you treat me like a king, then you're going to be a queen and a king and all these great little sayings. So we always hope that the pairs are queens and kings to each other. And that they may have their little diamond rings, I mean, gosh darn it, and fit inside holes of each other. So when I hear teenage stories again, my hope and my wish is that those human beings are truly happy and that they do feel to each other like a king and queen. And then I think, wow, do you only have one thing to do in life, teenagers? Like one human being. I mean, I know our mammalian heritage wants us to securely attach to one person, and I have a superpower. It's called my twin. Hey, twin, thanks so much for being in my implicit memory. I really, really love being an independent, true lover, because independent means that I'm not going to die with or without you. I need air, water, drink, food, eating, yes, like this, and that's how I'm going to make a difference. Oh, also, you put the oxygen mask on yourself first, not because you're selfish in that bastard selfish way. Yeah, there's a bastard selfish way. Luckily for me, Robert Sapolsky, I love your data because it points to the very truth that an empowered feminine already knows. Yes, poor unfortunate souls, so sad, but true. Ursula, what happens to the seaweed? Nothing, because the seaweed are all the people who have self-loathing, gut-wrench, torn apart suffering that Buddha makes fun of me for. And I just think, Peter Levine, they could come. They could all be there right now. But I do know, as you know, that muscles, bones, and tissues, it is a big deal. And so I understand it's a process. You know what happens when people don't like the process of integration? They want a shortcut. And then it's like, okay, do you want the Jack and Beanstalk bean? So when people want a story, they want a sales pitch. When people want to help people, they tell you how it is. If you prefer the story to the truth, hey, why are you here? Go to 4D land. They got a bunch of stories when they are having actual moments of fragmentation of the brain happen and self because they don't know how to be grounded in their body. So when you're not grounded in your body, aliveness, yes, I will know what it looks like because I learn from smart people and then I observe and I'm like, okay, there's dorsal vagal shutdown because you're only navigating sympathetic. That's because I learned what happens to poor 3-year-old. And this is where I'm not going to do it because my teacher, Sue Martin, did a really great job. And I was just like, okay, please stop because I'm a 3-year-old right now and I'm seeing what you're doing. And I'm not doing it as hard as she was. But oh my gosh, she's like, what does it take to take out the life force from a 3-year-old? And I'm like, please don't do this, which is why I do not say, oh my God, let me make fun of the 3D, 4D in a way of calling them names. Oh no, no, no. Patrick Tahan, they don't want you. They want Boca Raton. Oh, and they do love themselves a story. Oh, silverbacks, it's not for the smart ones. It's for, what was it, Schopenhauer? You want to reach a large audience, appeal to the masses. Sure, there's 3D, 4D masses out there. I know who they are. And they won't be making it that far because, well, the ascension energies do keep on coming in, and it's all love. You don't find love in your sympathetic. It's a frequency of fear. In fact, that Zen master with his laundry, he continues, yes, Buddha, I know, to suffer life because he has a story for himself. And the adaptive child loves to be in his ruminating, her, or they're ruminating in their little visceral. And then, as superheroes and supervillains do, come together, get on screen with their shadow, their light, and then they tell you they're healing. And the somatic therapist, they said, don't worry, don't worry. Their bodies are taking them to their restorative embodiment. Self-awareness, accountability, and regulation is needed, and you needing to want to. No, you want to understand data. Either you learn to integrate. No, you do it with the therapist. As you get insecure attachment, then you will have integration in the brain. And now you can take ownership, as Terrio points out. to psychological development. And when your face is in the mud, it's because that wound came up, the stuff that you promised you wouldn't be in again. No, really, it's that you will recognize these are my emotional triggers. This is the shit I do unhealthily. I ain't doing any of it. Here's a list of my shit. And this shit is making me weak and actively isn't healthy. So if you want data, you get data. You want a story for yourself, superhero, supervillain, go and have battles and stay in the low frequency, which is where they are not leaders, but you better bet they follow leaders who make them think that they know everything. And it's not toxic patriarch or matriarch. No, they're toxic because they have adaptive child part. They don't know how to use their prefrontal. They're using a 3-year-old, and their anger certainty makes them even dumber, which is where I learned how to handle my anger on purpose, because I could tell my hippocampus was being saturated with cortisol because I have introception. It's a gift. The body, mind, and self, all of it, a whole self, a differentiated 3-year-old. Basically, I didn't lose harmony with Maria. It's only a human that you see in front of you. It is the ability to bring out the best in others that makes you a leader. Yes, thank you, Sadhguru, but not to those who want a story. The adaptive child part people. They have attachment wounds. They flare up when they meet securely attached, non-traumatized people. And when you're a self-agent and you actually know healthy self-worth and you know how to navigate the winds of change and the waves of change, it ain't because I'm holding on to anything. You actively didn't do anything significant. Cowards are not significant. And actually, I wish that they would all go to Patrick Tian, because at least they would be saving the very 3-year-old that saved them from a household that was terrifying. I don't have a story for you. It is a very, very big honor to know you, Kylie, that you are healing. You are in remission with your borderline personality, and you are healing on your narcissism. She may never watch my videos. I honor, because she's doing what it takes to get herself out of something that she wasn't meant to be in. And anybody who says lack of imagination for evil doesn't know Michael Stone's scale. Forensic criminologist, and he has a story. No, the lack of imagination dude, not Michael Stone. He has data, and those who don't like data, they also don't like Patrick McNamara, who proves there's no demons inside the body of people. Neuroscientist, everyone has something to believe in. I'm the woo-woo pseudoscience lady. This is not about belief, and that word really, truth. What's truth? Truth is, if you hear data and facts, you'll know it, and it replicates. And in fact, all 3D, 4D replicate exactly what those trauma therapists have told me. The only ones who think that they're not needed are the same ones. I'm going to leave that one out of there. Okay, so Robert Spolsky, come on over. Your frontal cortex is a part of your brain that is the freest from genetic influences. Yes, and those who don't use it use their first 3 years of life. So I got a child in front of me when I'm dealing with adaptive child part people. That's why they look fancier and fancier in their suits. They can keep wearing whatever they want. I know that being yourself means that you can consistently be like this on a high, and that on the external, it doesn't mean anything, because as Stephen Porges points out, he wishes therapists would know it's not the context. It's a physiological state. I got lucky. I got implicit memory with a twin. I'm never alone. I got a nervous system that stays in ventral energy, and it is one energy, but it's all the emotions. I have a good relationship, anger, sadness, fear, surprise, disgust, and happiness. And so with that being said, again, when you have healthy self-worth, the compass, you don't build relationships with people that you don't know what you're getting into. And when they're adaptive child part people, you learn their 5 hands, and there you go. And they're not interesting because, again, they have a pathology, and pathologies get like a little donkey on a wheel. A human being, as human beings become more empowered, there is a fundamental need for us to become more conscious and responsible rather than reactive and compulsive. Thank you, Sadhguru. Humanity is becoming more empowered because we have a group of healthy, securely attached, non-traumatized human beings who are mental, emotional, physical masters of themselves. They also share the data, and some are mystics, and some are spiritual, and some are mindful, and some are, there's a lot of different words, but at the end of the day, they definitely don't want to be reactive or compulsive, so they do not do their low self-esteem, indirect communication, passive-aggressive, any of that adaptive child crap. They will notice Patrick Tiahan. They will go to Patrick Tiahan. They will go to Terreal. They won't make up some story, whether they are a mystic or not. They will not talk about things in ways that will make it very, very obvious that they're just following a crowd. Because, hey, Wendy, so what's up? The Twin Flame journey, the what other journey, 144,000 journey? Which ones of the special healer group are you? Because spiritual bypassers, they completely do that. As for the scientists, the ones who are not real ones, spirituality, it's all a bunch of bullshit. Okay then, wow. You obviously don't know how to be a true scientist, but it's okay, because ego's anywhere to be found when you got a 3-year-old who needs a crowd, And Schopenhauer, yes, the masses are bountiful, but they're smart masses too. So inspiring higher human potential, infinite. That's why I share my stories. It's very easy to use a brain. And when someone says, you're stupid, emotions don't come first. Sure, I mean, hey, I ain't going to educate you because you don't believe in the data. You believe in what you want to believe in so you can, what was it? That very funny Sadhguru story. This man, his wife, and him. I'm just going to give you the gist of it. He gets drunk, gets lost, gets home late, patches up himself with Band-Aids, but he actually puts it all on the mirror or something like that. And the wife's all upset at him, so she's chasing him in the house, and he eventually hides underneath the bed so that she won't, I guess, beat him up. And he says, I'm the man of the house, and I'm choosing to lay under the bed. And that's what adaptive child part people do. They justify every single one of their maladaptive patterns, inner critic, outer critic, the bullshit in their head, their low self-esteem and direct communication, all their reactivity. So the reality is they will have a group that they can hang out with, Diego's family, and they continue to have fun in 3D, 4D frequencies. So our 4D, 3D brothers and sisters aren't going anywhere. Again, fear coexists with love. I'm not in the fear frequency. I'll be shitting my pants when I'm actually physically afraid because something physical is happening. That's a smart body. Anybody who has anything that they have not yet tended to is still working on it. I get reactive with my mother and my twin. That's my 3-year-old. So I'm lucky again. And then when it's personal, because I like to be a person who's not reactive, no, because I'm in control. No, I'm empowered to be Maria. So I'm like, I don't need to be a 3-year-old version of me. My mom taught me manners, and I like intelligence. In calculation, there's stress and struggle of the mind. In giving, there's joy. So when someone's like, excuse me, confused science, spirituality. No, I bring them together. I bring human, spiritual, and spirituality together. That's what I do on my podcast. Spiritual growth, personal development, self-help for people who are in the 5D collective. I'm a mystic, Reiki master, Akashic record reader. I most definitely can do a lot more too, but that's with people who want to be securely attached, non-traumatized, healthy, self-worth versions. So they first took care of their child parts, and then they decided, oh, look, now that I can actually expand mindfully with my mindset skills, I'm going to go do more. And not say, I went there. I went like, no. And that's, again, fine. Go have fun. Poor unfortunate souls. So sad, but true. I mean, really, staying in your modulated embodiment is not something amazing because all you're doing is either venting on a roll with that poison in your body. Tara Brach gives a good mindfulness video. So the only way mindfulness will actually integrate you further is if you have integration of all those child parts, which people, again, consistently disregard. As Patrick Tian points out, a gaslit child will become an adult who does not trust their own compass. They also find confusion very safe. They also find people like me very triggering, and not once do they wonder, why am I talking shit about a human being who's loving and kind and open? And you know what happens when I have to bring forth my common sense because of having people who are actual snake oil? I'm an online marketer again, an entrepreneur, and I did political science, and I do not in any way, shape, or form need to ask punishing questions to people in the way that FBI and other types of ex-agents do, which are all people who, again, like a story for themselves, because you can tell one who cannot laugh, cannot meditate. Laughter is a certain exuberance of your energy. Meditation is ultimate exuberance of your energy without physical action. And I will always know when I have a person who doesn't know ventral energy or yoga. Yoga means to become flexible, not just physically, but in every way. That means wherever you are fine. This is a bilaterally overall integrated brain that can be this, like me. Means that I can be consistently in ventral energy. And if I get a little triggered, I'll notice it. If they point it out, I'll notice it. If I don't get it pointed out, I'll notice it because I'm in the mastery of my little angry button, because I don't need to correct you. I ain't God, and I ain't your mama, papa, and I ain't going to be dealing with your attachment wound and or any charges, because it's none of my business. It's your personal business with your biases. So I'm not talking to intellect or intelligence. I'm just talking to a person who thinks they've proven something, which means you're also an idiot because you don't know everything. I do, and you're not God. And so the smartass attitude is what people say, you do have judgment. No, I just have very, very well, thoroughly thought through opinions, and they are cherishable beliefs, not really, but they can be falsifiable. Thank you, Sam Harris. Grounded in reality, people have a good time. So again, secure attachment, non-traumatized, it ain't boring. What's boring is to find small, weak, limited consciousness people think they're smart asses and notice they're not. Spirituality does not mean becoming barren. Only a person who is full of life and joy can be truly free. Yes, when you have your 3-year-old and your 4 and 5 and all your child parts. So when I see people who don't, I know a teenager and they're not something obvious in a way of, oh my God, because I had low emotional mental intelligence. Even if they're on the high scale, they will not be vibing in the frequency of love. They will be vibing in a frequency of fear, which will mean that they have no thing to give to me, and I won't be under regulating because I'm securely attached, non-traumatized. I self-regulate without you and without anyone. And I know differentiation. Thanks, Dr. Daniel Siegel. He taught me how to do that. So whether it is happiness or unhappiness, pain or pleasure, agony or ecstasy, essentially it happens from within. Yes, thank you, Sadhguru. And people who don't want to put into practice their own ventral energy, they don't have to. It's a choice to become emotionally, mentally, and physically stable. To work to get your compass fixed because it's broken, because you got treated like a piece of shit. Not you, but anybody who has low self-esteem. Something happened where there was an attachment wound, a rupture. There's a lot of different ways. I have compassion, but at the end of the day, what I've noticed the adaptive child part people do is they choose a story over the data. I don't want anyone who chooses the story over the data. I'm the woo-woo pseudoscience lady. I fuck up the data, forget the data. I'm not going to be trying to make everyone happy because, as comedians say, anyone, they offended me. Everyone's getting offended these days about just about anything, and then you just go watch the groups as they interact with each other. Again, empowered men and women come together because when people start reliving their trauma, the timekeeping part of the brain that tells you that was then and this is now tends to go offline. Thank you, Bezel van der Kolk, MD. So their trauma time, like Pat Ogden says, not our trauma time. I don't need to do anything. The adaptive child part is a child's version of an adult that developed to protect their wounds. So I'm very happy that their adaptive child protected them. Now their maladaptive patterns aren't actually functioning. The lack of self-aware, accountable regulating. So again, binge eating, binge watching, binge doing a bunch of things that don't get you energized. Drinking, drugging, fucking, it don't matter. I saw it in college. Again, these people spending buttloads of money for school, and I'm the not cool one or the weird one for living at home with my mom. I'm going to say I ain't weird, and I'm going to say really, how about you notice how you're waking up in the morning, because you wake up with your thoughts and your emotions, and people who don't care about the data, again, but want a story, it's textbook rejecting to go and get their 3-year-old in a room because that's how scary it is, but also that teenager spiting their own home. So you're not spiting me. I ain't your mama wound. I ain't your papa wound. You're spiting your own self. This is the other part they don't like about the data. I'm with you, Patrick Jahan. Let's hold everybody accountable for their nervous system is how I'm going to bring it. Infinite higher human conscious potential. It's pretty straightforward. What an adaptive child won't do, they will not learn new skills because they're not using their prefrontal. They will see things in black and white, and they'll keep twisting shit to their volition. And then when they meet securely attached people, their wounds will flare up. And when ascension energies come around, their wounds will, well, flare up again. And if they choose to keep the maladaptive patterns of behavior and their distorted past self little stories, they got a good time with Cusco's over there. And there's Cusco, Yzma, Ursula, you name it. The number of uninteresting, unhealthy, self-worth people. But Tom and Jerry have a good time chasing each other. Also, pseudo-life people are hooked on that shared fantasy stage and all this low-frequency stuff. So again, the distress, yeah, that's why they become seaweed inside. But believe me, they don't believe any of this. So again, here we do healing trauma seriously, one person, relationship at a time. And one thing is for sure, we always have ego. I ain't making up a story of what Maria likes or doesn't like. I looked into personal development information to support more people. And as a mystic, what I find really sad is the 4D mystic community, because really what is happening is completely healable, and they prefer to dress themselves up with stories. Wendy, Peter Pan, Lost Boys, have a good time, and have silverbacks, and that's where it's not intelligence. But at the end of the day, everybody's motivated differently to do their own health. And those who don't want mental, emotional, and physical mastery do not go and get their core narrative, relational, and soul self healed with a Pat Ogden or Bezel van der Kolk. So the ones who have consistently over the years that I've been doing this denied, yeah, they keep on talking. All they did is learn words, blah, 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 blah. And then they come together as cheerleaders and jocks. And I love how many groups are out there. Every so often, we have a new 144,000 leader. I'm like, wow, you got that number from the past. You obviously don't know how to be in the present, unable to learn new skills because you're not using your prefrontal. You're also black and white. You're also in and out group. You also made up your mind on everything because Terry Rio calls it a losing strategy. I just call it, wow, now I found out what you think is right, what you think is wrong. You think you know everything and you don't. But hey, perfectionistic, harsh, unforgiving person, have a good time. Not you again. This is the people who don't realize what they are missing out on because they will not go to therapy. They'll say it's dangerous to have no emotions. It's not true that it's inherently enlightening or healthy to be non-reactive. Let me dismantle the entire mental health community. And when they talked about mental warfare, that's the other thing, man. Anytime I hear anybody being afraid of humans, wow, your faith in humanity must have been broken. Obviously, you don't know we're created by God. I guess you don't know Jesus or all the I guess you know what? You don't have a relationship with Purusha, pure consciousness, do you? Or pure energy. You got a story. Superheroes, supervillains, they always have a story. And that's why ego always needs to feel good about itself. And that's with anyone who doesn't actually know self-acceptance. Thanks, Terry. I can be crooked to anybody. I won't be proving shit. It's my body, my brain. And when you meet teenagers, they actually don't know what to do with something like this because they will not meet any type of distress. They are going to meet two eyes that say, I think we can agree to disagree. Tomato, tomato, potato, potato. Let's call the whole thing off. I don't know. No, we don't do anything like that. It's more of, okay, I'm mature, I'm thoughtful. What about you? There's your functional child adults. We're based in the present. We have a good time with intelligence, intellect, emotional, all of it. And then we make fun of the poor, unfortunate souls. So sad, but because seriously, the manners and the ways that they've been justifying staying in there that I didn't think 3D, 4D would stay. I don't want to make fun of them, but I accepted defeat a long time ago. I can say, I'll show you a whole new world. Ew, you want me to be myself and one emotion? Get the fuck away from me, you and your mindfulness shit. It's patching things up. I want to be like this. Okay, have fun in your low frequency. And no, but do not worry about your future. Thank you, Sadhguru. Do your present well and the future will blossom. He's awesome. 5D Mystic Enlightenment Functional Child Adult right here. Come on over if you enjoy mindfulness, mindsight, and mindset. The inner growth way. So we, again, have what is called, we have what it takes to be in a good relationship, because we also know that a lot of people underestimate the gradual impact of little things adding up over time in your childhood. Rick Hansen. And we know that the ones who are serious about their relationships, they do not stay in their adaptive child part. Because, as Patrick Tian points out, you can't demand that your partners help you emotionally regulate while projecting your childhood abusers and all your childhood shit onto anyone. So when I see adaptive child people coming together, I don't need to do anything. Again, they're a crowd. They like to just pat each other in the back, and they keep on doing what is not sailing the winds of change or the waves. On the other hand, for me, even though I'm not an actual in the ocean sailor, I definitely am an emotional, mental, and physical sailor. And everything that happens in the material world is essentially a certain kind of wave. If you're a good sailor, every wave is a possibility. Thank you, Sadhguru. So the securely attached, non-traumatized person is able to navigate their ventral vagal state because we are no longer and or not ever been a wounded inner child who will refuse to give up on bad relationships, who will make sense of toxic ones, and who will keep on choosing stories over data because they are actually not wanting to become healthy self-worth. So it's not confusing for us to disengage from relationships and just in general, anything that is unknown, uncertainty, unexpected. We deal with it from our open heart, and we deal with it with going with the flow, because an integrated brain is energized and invigorated in this way. And so securely attached, non-traumatized, mindfully living, loving people, come on over and join us. We're mystics, spiritual, and again, some sciences. And at the end of the day, we do hope that all people choose to get into that lovely restorative embodiment, self-aware, accountable, regulating life. It's fun to be functional child adults. And we're going to keep talking more about it. And as the ascension energies come about, those who will be empowered will expand consciously. Those who will choose to stay within the lower frequency will expand differently. And it will be where their suffering is kind of accentuated, but not in that way necessarily, because your body will protect you. The thoughts will stay, and your shame, blame, fault, revenge little story will be what You have already decided your self-fulfilling prophecy. That's why some people are going to be living out their karma. We don't do karma. We do dharma. And then our karma we take conscious ownership of. Who's we? The 5D collective again. So welcome aboard. Be yourself, mindfully aware that we have flaws and we can have them with imperfections but with integrity. Self-agents know how to handle differences with equanimity, discernment. Thank you, God, for being discerning, equanimous love, as my chapter is in that lovely book that will be out June 28th. I'm a co-author of it, The Ways to God. So some of us have different backgrounds, and that's the beauty of it. And what I can tell you is God has consistently been discerning, equanimous love, and that I've been consistently in the same frequency. I'm not going to say I embody source, God, divinity. There are those who will express that greatness. I am embodying this thing called Maria. This is my whole self. My contribution is I'm a speck of the same consciousness you are. You have your name, use it. So when I'm in the presence of my 5D collective members, lovely. 4D, 3D, lovely again, because love and fear, they walk like an Egyptian. They walk together because healthy self-worth knows how to say, no, this is not okay, and we do it in a not big of a deal way. And those who don't like us, they won't be back around, because that's how it works. The ego's family, they don't want to be around those of us who have manners. But we'll be able to be around them, because ventral energy is that. And so is integration of brain and being present. Have a good one.